Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are two of the most prominent figures in women's basketball. Although these two players have contributed to the mainstreaming of women's basketball, their rivalry has triggered not only on court competition, but also a flurry of public opinion and media drama. Shaquille O'Neal recently made news by praising Clark and talking about the WNBA's incredible rise, which escalated the tension. His remarks, which were meant to be a celebration of the league's advancement, ultimately infuriated Reese, who felt that Clark was being given more credit than she had for her own accomplishments. Shaq's remarks served as the impetus for Reese's outburst, which has turned into the most recent episode in the two celebrities' continuing story. Reese's reaction to Shaq's compliments about Clark presents her as a player who is mired in the past and longing for her heyday in college. The way she has responded to the media's obsession with her competition with Clark is indicative of this. Reese appears more concerned with maintaining her reputation in the news, frequently for the wrong reasons, than she does with her own development and the league's overall success. By continuously showcasing her abilities on the court and accepting the position of leader for the women's game, Caitlin Clark has paved the way for her eventual rise to fame. Thus, it should come as no surprise that Clark has emerged as the WNBA spokesperson, forcing Reese to catch up while being preoccupied with off-court controversy. Shaquille O'Neal acknowledged the WNBA's quick ascent in his remarks, rather than making fun of Reese. Shaq took a minute to commend Caitlin Clark for her efforts, highlighting in particular her capacity to enthrall crowds and spur league reform. His remarks were intended to honor the accomplishments of not only Clark, but the entire WNBA, showcasing athletes like Sabrina Ionescu and Aja Wilson, whose skills and talents have elevated the sport's stature. However, Reese thought that Shaq's admiration for Clark was a personal slight that obscured her own achievements and diminished the attention she had so hard worked to earn. A well-known illustration of the difficulties that arise from living in the shadow of a more powerful adversary is Reese's annoyance with Shaq's comments. Reese appears to be resisting the notion that she is second in line, even if Clark has taken advantage of the media's attention. Her response reveals a great deal about her insecurity, since she can't or won't acknowledge that Clark's game has helped her achieve a level of success and recognition that Reese hasn't been able to match. Reese appears to be trapped in a loop of reactive drama rather than proactive advancement in a time when athletes are expected to manage their image and brand more and more. Reese's fascination with internet critics is one of the more revealing features of her public character. Shaq was blunt in his criticism of her propensity to interact with trolls, implying that she had shifted her attention from honing her craft to fighting detractors. Considering how much Reese has depended on social media to support her personal brand, it's an intriguing viewpoint. Shaq's message was unambiguous. Don't expect the world to give you praise just because you've attracted notice instead. Keep working and getting better. Reese's defensive stance anytime her name is brought up in contrast to Clark's shows that she isn't ready to face this unpleasant reality. Reese's feisty attitude and bold confidence have undoubtedly left her mark, but it's becoming more and more obvious that her skill set isn't enough to keep her in the spotlight. Instead of getting sidetracked by the commotion, fans are watching athletes like Clark, who blends talent and personality, and who use the limelight to improve her game. Players like Caitlin Clark astonish spectators with their long-range shooting, spectacular passes, and unwavering work ethic. In addition to landing her a Nike contract, her ability to perform well under duress has won her the respect of fans worldwide. Because of her extraordinary talent, Clark has demonstrated that women's basketball is a popular sport deserving of recognition and celebration rather than a specialized interest. Reese, on the other hand, appears to have turned her concentration from her performance on the court to preserving her status as the center of attention. Reese's antics generally seem more about making headlines than advancing the game, whether it's her constant feud with Clark or her frequent rants on social media. She may be a very brilliant player, but she runs the risk of being known more for her antics than for her contributions to the game, since her need for attention has overwhelmed her drive to get better. This is not to suggest that Reese lacks potential, on the contrary, she does. She is without a doubt one of the most exciting players in women's basketball due to her skill and spirit of competition. However, potential by itself is insufficient to maintain a top tier career. Reese must accept that progress, discipline, and consistency are the keys to longevity in the game if he wants to become a great legend. She may have a strong personality and be a divisive character, but if she wants to be regarded as one of the greats, she will need to change and improve. Clark, however, has already established herself as one of the best players in women's basketball history. She is a once in a generation talent because of her leadership qualities, ability to score goals, and composure under duress. Clark is a wonderful athlete to watch because of her skill, vision, and perseverance, which she uses to lead her team with precise passes or drain threes from the logo. Her capacity to not only play the game, but also to change it was demonstrated by her recent All-Star game performance, which attracted millions of viewers and broke several records. It's telling that Reese can't get over the media's obsession with Clark. Rather than seizing the chance to develop and change, she has been enmeshed in the myth that she is being ignored. This way of thinking is detrimental to the league overall as well as to her own growth. Women's basketball is at a tipping moment, and it's obvious that the court, not off court drama, needs to be the main focus. The players must stop focusing on personal rivalries and small scale disputes and instead support one another and the game as a whole if the WNBA is to continue on its upward trajectory. There are two sides to the media's emphasis on the competition between Clark and Reese. On the one hand, it has given women's basketball much needed attention and provided conversation starters for supporters. However, it runs the risk of overshadowing the sport's actual splendor, which is the players' extraordinary talent, camaraderie, and commitment. Reese needs to figure out how to put the drama aside and concentrate on what really counts, her performance on the court, if she wants to leave a lasting legacy. She must realize that, despite being interesting, rivalries do not determine a player's greatness. What really sets the legends apart from the rest is their work ethic, consistency, and capacity for high pressure performance. Reese appears to be more interested in being the focus of attention, whereas Clark has accepted her role as a trailblazer. Each player is free to choose how they wish to use the spotlight, but it is there for the taking. For Clark, the goals have been to improve the sport, set records, and demonstrate that women's basketball is just as thrilling as men's basketball, if not more so. For Reese, it has been about staying relevant in a rapidly changing environment. Ultimately, the competition between Clark and Reese is less about genuine hostility and more about how they approach the game differently. Both athletes are exceptionally gifted and have the capacity to make significant contributions to women's basketball. But only one person may serve as the sport's spokesperson, and Caitlin Clark currently holds that honor. Even though Reese might not be pleased with it, she would be wise to keep in mind that a player's legacy, rather than the publicity they create, is the real indicator of their greatness. For the time being, Clark is creating that legacy by breaking records and breaking barriers in every game she plays. Shaq's remarks served as a reminder that Clark and other players are spearheading the WNBA's current expansion. Reese needs to start battling for her spot among the greats and quit battling for attention. She can soar to unknown heights if she can accomplish that. However, in the interim, the focus will continue to be on those who allow their game to speak for itself, which is currently Caitlin Clark.